Hey guys, welcome to the Forge Tabletop. Today we have 2,000 points of World Eaters versus Deamonettes of Slaanesh. So let's go ahead and check out the armies.
Yes, if you like the video, share it if you want to share it, comment if you want to comment, like it if you want to like it, and more to come. So, I have 1,980 points of Deamonettes of Slaanesh. So, for Warlord, I have Shalaxi Hellbane, because this is the most powerful demon in the entire Codex in Slaanesh. I have a Keeper of Secrets, who has the Soul Stealer enhancement. I have 3 units of Demonettes. I have 2 units of Fiends. And I have 3 units of Secret Chariots who will be doing objective work and secondaries. I could not find the correct model, so I have 2 Transweavers. I have the Mask of Slaanesh, who has a lone operative, so I figured she can do objectives and secondaries and stuff off to the side without getting killed. And then I have Infernal and Rapturous, which doesn't show. And that is my army.
You guys, so for my army, first off, the models are not accurate to what they are. The World Eater models are a little bit behind, so I might have to find a different source for those. However, I have a kind of a slew of different HQs. I'm trying out a couple of different buffs. So for instance, I have Karn, I have the Masters of Executions, I have a Lord on Juggernaut, I have a Demon Prince non-winged. It just so happens that this model has wings. And so I have 2 squads of 10 Khorne Berserkers, I have a full squad of Exalted 8-bound, I have a regular squad of base 8-bound, and then I have 2 squads of Jackals. And so basically I'm going to try and just, I don't know, give the models a go, see what happens. I have a Land Raider for transport. I kind of want to see how the buffs work with Khorne on top of his like Blessing of Khorne table and stuff like that. Now there are a couple of enhancements. The Juggernaut Lord has Favorite of Khorne, which allows me a reroll on that table. Who are you? The Demon Prince has Helm of Brazen Ire, and the Master of Executions has a Berserker Glaive, which gives him more damage. And so I wanted to see how the characters play with everything, and see how the army works.
Right, so for the mission we have Dawn of War. And then we drew Maelstrom of Battle, which adds 2 new mission cards. So we have Scrambler Fields, which basically means no one can move on to an objective from Scouts, Deep Strike, or whatever. And then we have Secret Intel, which we get a 3rd secondary every single turn. And then Sights of Power, which is basically all the objectives in the middle are worth 3 victory points for holding, an additional 3 if there's a character, and our home objective is only worth 3. And yes, and that is the mission. So, for secondaries, me first, I've chosen, well, Tactical, because of Secret Intel. I just figured it'd be a good chance, and I have plenty of guys who can do the secondaries. So what about you?
Oh, yeah, so I chose Assassination and Engage on all fronts. You have a bazillion characters, and with the mission rules, characters sitting on no man's land objectives is kind of the way to go. So I figure, why not? And then Engage on all fronts because I'm Khorne and I just run forward and punch stuff. So I figured I'm probably going to be fighting on all corners anyway. Might as well take it. It seems like a natural lean for the army and the scenario, so we'll see.
Alright, for deployment, my opponent has to deploy first, and so I basically decided to go big, place Shalaxi Hellbane out first on the very front, then mirror the Keeper Secrets on the other side, and then after that was place my chariots strategically, one to hold the back objective, the other 2 to be out of line of sight and stuff, and just be poised for any shenanigans going through the side. After that, Mask of Slaanesh in just a corner. She has lone operative, so she can't really be shot at, but my opponent has like no guns, so after that, the center, I just filled it with a bunch of Daemonettes, and some Fiends to go alongside them, and a little bit of Fiends on the left. And basically, I just wanted to cover both bases and be prepared to counter punch my opponent, because I know that I cannot do anything really if I don't hit first. And that was my plan. What about yours?
Yeah, so I don't have as much of a plan. Basically, I have a couple of character buffs that I want to keep certain units by. So basically, I just kind of paired units together. and that was the majority of my planning. So I just, yeah.
Alright then. Well, let's see how the game goes. Alright, so who goes first? Do you want to start this one?
Well, I think that I want to go second. I have no shooting, so there's no reason for me to want to go first. You could say, oh, but I could maybe go sit on the objectives, but I think this is a charging game, so I want to go second. Because I think you guys have a lot of movement. If memory serves.
Ridiculous amounts.
Yeah.
The shortest amount of movement is 9 inches.
Yeah. Can you guys run and charge?
Yeah, Deamons. For 1 CP, one of my guys can do that.
Oh, only one. Okay.
Yeah, but it can be a very important one.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think going second is my best bet, because I can't. Well, I guess technically there is a way, but it's unlikely at best. So I think second is my call.
Yes, for me, going second would be great because then I can basically get a bunch of charges off. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Everyone wants to go second. If I go first, I would put my guys in a position where I will countercharge you as best as possible, or I will hide behind my greater demons and then countercharge you. Basically, if I go first, I set traps. If I go second, I'm charging heavily in. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So let's see who's right.
Well, more like gets what they want.
Doggone it. I rolled a 1. Oh, wait, no, wait. That's what I wanted. Yes, I go second.
Wonderful.
GG's. So, World Leaders, turn 1.
Alright, you guys. So, what had happened was...
Nothing.
Yeah, so essentially, my Blessings of Corn came in, and so I rolled only 2 sets of doubles, but it was a double 5 and a double 6. Now, what I ended up choosing was Martial Excellence and Total Carnage. So, Martial Excellence, basically, I have sustained hits army-wide, and then Total Carnage is on a 4-up. If a model is killed, they can basically swing. So I don't know necessarily what it's going to look like. There was an advance and charge one I could have done, but honestly, I'm not going to reach anything. So really, I picked some kind of counter choices here. I could have gone with the lethal hits one, but I don't know. I probably should have actually, now that I think about it. Yeah, I probably should. But anyway, so movement phase comes around. So my Jackals, since command phase is done, so I hold this back objective. Jackals have sticky objectives, so I don't need to sit on it anymore. They moved onto the back right corner, so now I'm holding the back 2 corners with my Jackals. Technically, the rest of my army is also there, but, you know, whatever. And then nothing ran, so my middle blob of units just kind of moved into the beginning of the cover here, or not the beginning, but the edge of the wall here. So it'd be super annoying to try and charge them. My Land Raider kind of veered off a little bit towards the middle, and then my Khorne Berserkers on the, I guess, your guys' left, just kind of walked forward, so there was no running except my Jackals. Yeah, so super basic. Mostly because he has a lot of movement, so I'm not quite sure what to try and counterplay with. So yeah. Okay, so my Land Raider was shooting at his Demon Prince out in the open, but he was at -1 to hit, but honestly I don't even think that actually mattered. Basically I missed everything. I think there's only 2 shots that went to wound and they both failed as well. So total whiff from the Land Raider, and that was my whole shooting. That was it. Guys, so I got a whole lot of no points. Now I am kind of on my way to engage in all fronts. Next turn I'll probably have that, maybe. I don't know. I took some pot shots for assassination, but nothing really ended up there. And so yeah, pretty unfortunate first turn. But you know, we'll see. My army is a melee army, so we'll see what happens in the next turn.
Alright, I drew for my secondaries area denial and no prisoners. And because of secret intel, I get to draw a third one and discard one of the two, ones I have. So I tried it. I drew secure no man's land. I decided, you know what, for maximum points, I'm going to discard no prisoners, and I have area denial and secure no man's land. So basically, I got to take the center objective, and I have to have 2 no man's land objectives. So that was a good draw, and pretty much was nailing it. So I just had to take 2 objectives. I took all of them. I have all the objectives. Now can I keep them? So essentially what happened is Shalaxi Hellbane moved up to be on the right. Honestly, like, the movement speed on Slaanesh is very surprising. Then I had the Fiends move up. So apparently the Fiends have the same ability as Nurglings, which is subtract -1 to hit for being within 6 inches, excluding vehicles and Titanic. But still. So they're within support of Shalaxi Hellbane. Demonettes with Transweaver moved and touched the center objective. Green Demonettes on the side could just walk onto the objective with their 9-inch move. Mask of Slaanesh is sitting in the back just in case of like objectives or stuff comes up for future cards. My Keeper's Secrets move touched the objective and is very close to their Land Raider. My Fiends move to touch the objective. And my Seeker Chariot moved up on the left side. The blue one moved up to support Shalaxi Hellbane in the future turns. And my back objective was held by my red Seeker Chariot. And that is the movement phase. Oh yeah, and my blue Demonettes with the Infernal and Rapturous ran. They got a 6, and they moved very close up. So for the shooting phase, my Keeper's Secrets is going to shoot the basic level of Phantasmagoria onto the World Eater's Land Raider. All hit, 6 hits. And 1 6, so that turns into a mortal wound, so 1 mortal wound, and that was it. And that was the shooting phase. So, for the charge phase, the Keeper's Secrets needed a 4 to get the World Eaters, rolled exactly a 4, cutting it close. And then the Daemonettes, I spent 1 CP for the ability to advance and charge, and so I rolled, and one at a time, rolled a 6, and I felt it, a 1 showed up. And they made it in just barely with a 7-inch charge. Alright, for the fight phase, so Demonettes have a devastating wound, so I wanted to go with them first in case he wanted to interrupt. And so, you never know. So, Infernal and Rapturous swung first, all hit, did not do a single 6. Then the Daemonettes swung. They have 30 attacks in their entirety, and a lot of them hit. I get to reroll 1s with them, so only 4 misses. And then out of all that, 7 6s. So that was 7 mortal wounds on the Land Raider. That was actually pretty good. That's better than I expected. Then the Keeper's Secret swung with a Wit Stealer sword. All hit. 1 wounded. And he failed it, bringing it down to 5 wounds. Then my extra attacks with my Snapping Claw swung. And I really needed it to roll 6s. For devastating wounds, and not a single one of them made it, only 1s and 2s. So the Land Raider survived barely. Then the Land Raider crushed 3 of my Demonettes under their treads, because I cannot roll a 5-up apparently to save my life. And that was the fight phase. Secondary game went incredibly well. I got really lucky with the draw. A secret intel really helped. And so Area Denial got 5 points. Secure No Man's Land got 5 points. So I got a really strong early lead, thanks to dumb luck.
Alright, you guys, so in the movement phase, it is time to commit and probably end this game in the next battle round. Where to start? Okay, so I start with my green Khorne Berserkers on the left. They're basically going to move and try and sneak around. I say sneak around, but because there's kind of some terrain in the way. So they can make a charge real easy on the Keeper of Secrets because they're within 1.5 inches. But to really make a useful charge will be a little trickier, I think. But so they snuck in there. The Land Raider stayed in combat, but Karn and his squad popped out. And then they scooted around because they're going to beat up those Demonettes. Hopefully is the goal there. Then my middle buffs, my middle units all kind of came out. No one ran. in that middle squad because obviously everyone is going to charge. Now the people who did run are my jackals on the bottom, who are kind of the bottom middle. They're just moving farther into the corner because they're literally for engage on all fronts at this point. Now I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Engage on all fronts may not work out this game unless I kill the 2 Keeper of Secrets in the middle. But anyway, so everything moved out because now it is time to fight to the death, which is what Korn loves. So we will see if we can do that for him. And that was the movement phase. All right, you guys. So basically, nothing happened. Just a giant pile of garbage. The Land Raider shot everything at the Keeper of Secrets. Only one shot made it through to the save phase, and that was his combi bolter. Literally everything else missed or whiffed. I had 3 las cannon shots that hit, rolled a whole bunch of 2s, and so that was just super shameful. The Demon Prince shot his battle cannon at Shalaxi, and all of them hit, but none of them wounded because it's strength 5. It's not really a battle cannon. Kind of just annoyance. But anyway, so if it wasn't for the fact that the Land Raider survived and transported these Khorne Berserkers safely, he would essentially be a huge waste of points, which he still kind of is, but at this point. So anyway, so that was the shooting phase, whole bunch of nothing. Alright, you guys, so basically everything charged. So my blue 8-bound charged both his Fiends and his Demonettes. Then my Demon Prince charged just the Fiends, and then my Exalted 8-bound and World Eater's Lord on Juggernaut charged Shalaxi Hellbane. Then Karn and his squad charged the blue Demonettes, and then the green squad charged the Keeper of Secrets. And that was pretty much it. That was all the charges. There was a little finagling because the terrain is a little awkward. So just kind of trying to snug models in, so some look like they're on top of buildings, but they're actually not. They're actually inside the buildings. But it's just the way that the whole thing stacks didn't quite function properly. So anyway, but yeah, so that was the charge phase. Everything that wanted to get in did get in, and we will see what happens. Alright, you guys, so for combat, started off with so he had an Always Strikes First unit, which was the red Demonettes. They swung on my blue 8-bound, killing off 2 of them and leaving the champ with 1 wound left, but they weren't able to wipe the squad, so that was good. Then I swung with my Exalted 8-bound on Shalaxi Hellbane, doing 9 damage total. That's with my World Eater's Lord on Juggernaut and the 8-bound as well. And then from there, he interrupted with his Keeper of Secrets onto the green squad, only killing like 4 of them. 4 of them. 4 of them, yeah. And then from there, it was basically my swings. So my World Eater's Demon Prince swung on his Fiends, killing 2 of them, so doing 8 damage total. Then my one 8-bound guy left swung on the Demonettes, killing actually only 1 of them, which wasn't super great, but whatever. And then I went over to Karn and his squad. They cleared off the blue squad of Demonettes and the character there. And then the green squad with the Master of Execution swinging on his Keeper of Secrets was actually able to kill the Keeper of Secrets to the wound. So he had 1 wound left, and 1 Eviscerator went through, doing 2 damage. He had the Feel No Pain, and so 1 passed, 1 failed, which was literally just enough to kill off that Keeper of Secrets. Well, I guess technically I still had the Land Raider to swing, but anyway. And so then he swung back with Shalaxi Hellbane, killing off 4 of my Exalted 8-bound, and then his Fiend swung on my last regular 8-bound, killing him as well. And so that was the fight phase. Not bad. So for Assassination, I killed 2 characters, so I was able to get 8 points from that. And then I had my home objective, so because my Jackals have sticky objectives, that was 3 points there. I still don't have an engage in all fronts, however, now that the Keeper of Secrets on one side is gone, I imagine I might be able to pour a little more into that side. Now, I don't know what the heck is going on in the middle. We will find out. But yeah, that was it. I still am getting engaged, but yeah, not a bad turn.
All right. So for my turn. So first, I drew extend battle lines and behind enemy lines, and with secret intel, I drew defend stronghold. So I discarded behind enemy lines. So all I have to do is hold my home and a middle board objective. By the end of his turn, I'm going to get a bunch of points, or by the end of the battle round. And so that's going to be pretty easy, considering I'm going second. And yeah, and as far as movement phase, so Slaanesh ran, rolled a 4, which was just too short to get onto the side objective there. I didn't want to spend a CP to make it mine. I don't know if I'm going to need it for anything special. So the green squad moved off to go get to in combat. Red squad, I was thinking of moving him as a blocker, but I decided no, I'm going to deal with a Demon Prince. My fiends moved to the side to allow the Seeker Chariot to get in. We need to do some damage quick. And yeah, let's see what happens. Alright, so for the shooting phase, essentially what happened is Shalaxi Hellbane, I did the hazardous version of his shooting. Got 3 shots, did not roll a single 6 because it has sustained 3. And whiffed horribly, and my opponent saved the 2 wounds that went through. And that was the shooting phase. The charge phase, the green Demonettes charged his Exalted 8 bound. They made it in on a 7, wrapped around. And then the Seeker Chariot charged in, got in on a 7. Then my Daemonettes charged, made it in on a 12. They piled in as best they could. Seeker Chariot and Orange Fiends charged the Khorne Berserkers and made it in. And that was the charge phase. Alright. So for the fight phase, first the green Demonette swung and they killed the 2 Exalted that were there and did some like 3 wounds to his Khorne on Juggernaut. After that, first apparently his green World Eater squad had always fight first, and so they just deleted the fiends outright. Then my Daemonette swung. Then my red squad of Daemonettes swung, did 3 mortal wounds to the World Eater's Demon Prince. Then, once that was done, then he interrupted with his Khorne Lord on Juggernaut and swung at Shalaxi Hellbane and nearly killed him, or it. It's just ridiculous amounts of damage. So Shalaxi has 3 wounds left. Then
damage in one go.
Yeah, that was ridiculous. Yeah, 7 damage. It was too much. Then after that, can't recall. Oh yeah, my Seeker Chariot swung on the Khorne Berserkers. Surprisingly, killed a lot of them. Did 5 mortal wounds because when it charges, as anti-infantry 4 up and devastating wounds with its weapon. So 5 mortal wounds, easy. And after that, then he swung with his Demon Prince onto my red squad of Daemonettes. He used the sweep ability and he wiped out the squad, so only the characters left and it took a wound. My Fiend, the last yellow Fiend, swung on the World Leader's Demon Prince, did 2 mortal wounds to him. And then Shalaxi Hellbane deleted the Khorne Lord on Juggernaut with 21 damage to it. And yeah, and that was the fight phase. So for points, I got the maximum 15. I controlled 3 objectives, giving me 9. 2 of those objectives had characters, giving me 6, bringing me to the maximum I can earn a turn of 15. I got extend battle lines, so 5 points there, and defend stronghold, so I got 3 points for that. And that was my turn.
You guys. So for the movement phase, my green squad stayed in combat, my Demon Prince stayed in combat, my 1 Jackal squad in the corner stayed. The other one moved behind the next piece of terrain. They'll probably stay there for the rest of the game. My Land Raider moved forward just a little bit, and Karn and his squad moved towards the middle to go fight stuff to the death, you know, as you do. And that was the movement phase. Shooting phase. Essentially, nothing happened. My green squad shot some pistol shots at his chariot. He saved the one that went through. Land Raider shot everything into Shalaxi. Nothing went through. So once again, my Land Raider has basically been an overglorified transport. I could have gotten by with a Rhino at this point. And that was it. That was the shooting phase. Alright, you guys. So for the charge phase, Karn and his squad charged his green Demonettes, and they got in. So that was it. Guys. So for the fight phase, we started off with his, was it green squad?
Yeah, Green Deamonettes, because of the fight first
Yeah.
from the Transweaver.
Right. And so they swung on Karn's squad. They were actually able to kill, what, 5 of them? 4 of them?
Yeah, 5. A lot of mortal wounds.
Yeah, so many mortal wounds. And then my green squad had always strike first. So then they swung on his chariot. They were able to kill off that secret chariot, but only just barely, if memory serves.
Yeah.
And then it wheeled around to my next charge because his character from the red squad didn't have a squad anymore, so she didn't actually have always strike first anymore. So Karn's squad swung and they wiped out the green squad. And then he swung with his fiend on my demon prince, doing 2 mortal wounds, which then we realized, I forgot about it, but he had that enhancement that he takes half damage. So he only took 1 there, but then we realized there were 2 other times that had happened. So he's actually at 5 wounds now, instead of the 2 or 3. But anyway, and then he swung and he split his swings, 7 on the fiend, 7 on the character. He only did 2 damage to the fiend, but he did in fact kill the character. And that was the fight phase. You guys. So for this turn, I was able to get 8 points for assassination. However, I still only have 3 points on primaries now. However, this next battle round, that should be different. But for now, it is what it is. So I was able to get a total of, 11 points this turn. So not super good, but I'm not like tremendously behind. But I was able to do enough damage that he's going to have to start making some more difficult choices with his turns. And that was, my turn.
Right, for my turn, I drew Overwhelming Force and Bring It Down. With Secret Intel, I drew Storm Hostile Objective. Now, I did the math. I think I can kill his Demon Prince, so I would get Bring It Down. But the max points I'll get on Bring It Down is 3. The max points I'll get on Storm Hostile Objective is 5. So I discard Bring It Down to get Storm Hostile Objective. I have to take this objective, which is pretty possible. Yes, alright, as far as movement goes, I spent 1 CP in the command phase to corrupt real space, my home objective, which now is sticky, so it's mine even though I move off it. Secret Chariot moved, the red one moved around to try to get at the Khorne Berserkers. Blue Secret Chariot surrounded the Khorne Berserkers. Shalaxi Hellbane moved to intercept the World Leader's Demon Prince, and the Mask of Slaanesh got onto the objective on the side. I only gained 3 points, but oh well. So for the shooting phase, Shalaxi Hellbang shot at the Khorne Berserkers and successfully killed 1 of them. Then I combined the shots of the Secret Chariots and they just mag dumped that unit and they successfully killed 1. And that was the shooting phase. So for the charge phase, Secret Chariot Blue charged his Khorne Berserkers, made it in. Shalaxi Hellbane automatically rolled, made it in because it's less than 2 inches. But I rolled anyway and it would have been a 12. And then the Secret Chariot made it on a 9, the red one into the Khorne Berserkers, and that was the charge phase. So for the fight phase, Shalaxi Hellbane deleted the Demon Prince, even though it had half damage. I did 10 damage to it, despite it being half. Then he interrupted for 2 CP with Karn the Betrayer and his guy. So the guy swung on the red Secret Chariot, did no damage. Karn swung on the blue, did exactly 4 damage, which was exactly what I needed after that explosion from the Demon Prince. After that, then my Secret Chariot swung and whiffed so hard. He had 4 up to wound was mortal wounds, and he rolled only 1 4 up. So he did finish that one guy, but Karn is completely fine right there. And and that was the fight phase. So for points, I have from Overwhelming Force, I killed 2 units, so I hit the cap of 5, because when the Karn is the only one left, so the unit it counts as dead, so he's now separate, so the unit is dead. Storm Hostile Objective, I did take the center objective from my opponent. I have 8 OC on it, and he has like 2 or something. And and that is my turn.
Okay, so for the movement phase, my Land Raider moved into basically another corner, so now I'll start getting points for engage on all fronts. And then my green guy just moved farther onto their objective, so that way they can get points on it. Karn stayed in combat because that's what Karn does. And then for my Corn roll, I got lethal hits for my melee swings. And yeah, that was it. Karn shot at the Seeker Chariot, you guys, but it went through and it wounded, but he saved it on the 4-up invuln. Then my Land Raider shot at Shalaxi, once again doing literally nothing. One last cannon, I spent a command point to reroll the hit, and it went through. He failed the wound. Or no, he saved it. It was the Heavy Bolter that he failed the wound, but he used a command point to re-roll it, saving it. So the Land Raider has once again done almost literally nothing the entire game. And that was the shooting phase. Alright, you guys, so in the fight phase, his chariot swung first. He was able to do 2 wounds to Karn, and then Karn swung back and was able to do nothing. 3 wounds went through, but he saved all 3 of them on that 4-up invuln. And yeah, that was the fight phase. So for this turn, it was a little unfortunate. But anyway, so I gained 9 points on the primary, 6 points for the one with the character on it, 3 points for my home objective, and I got 2 points for engaged all fronts because my Land Raider is now in another corner. But I didn't get any assassinations because Shalaxi is still alive. So kind of a not great turn, but we'll see what happens in his turn, because then we'll have 1 turn left.
So I drew capture enemy outpost and deploy teleport homer, and then I drew tempting target. I wasn't going to bother with tempting target because he'll select the one that I can't reach, so it's pointless. Deploy teleport homer, so I'm not going to bother to do. Capture enemy outpost. We'll see what happens, but I did score max primary, surprisingly. And moving on to my turn, Shalaxi Hellbane failed the morale test, which would have allowed her to heal D3 wounds. Then I spent a CP to make the Mask of Slaanesh objective that they were on sticky. After that happened, I ran her. She ran 3 inches, so a total of 12 inches in movement. And Shalaxi Hellbane moved towards the Land Raider, and that was the movement phase. Alright, so for the shooting phase, Shalaxi Hellbane shot at the the Land Raider, got 6 shots off, and successfully did 2 devastating wounds on it and did 5 mortal wounds to it, and so it finally died. It then exploded and did 6 wounds to Shalaxi Hellbane, and her Feel No Pain saved nothing. And then the Green World Leader squad was caught in the blast, and they lost everyone in the squad except the Master of Executions. And then Shalaxi did not blow up in return. Then my chariot shot at Karn at point blank and did 1 wound to him, and that was the shooting phase. So for the charge phase, the Mask of Slaanesh has advanced in charge, and so, well, she charged Karn the Betrayer and made it in. So for the fight phase, the Mask has an ability where I can either add +1 to wound onto her target, so anyone who swings on them gets +1 to wound, or make the target have -1 to wound. And so I made it so that everyone has +1 to wound on him. And the Mask slaughtered him entirely with 6 mortal wounds, and 2 regular wounds went through. Then apparently Karn has fight on death, and then he just destroyed the Mask. And that was the fight phase. So for points, I did none of this, but I did get 15 primary because I did hold 3 objectives because of sticky, and 2 of the objectives had characters, giving me another 6. And so I got the maximum 15. And that was my turn, and we're calling it there. So, MVP, LVP. For me, LVP, the Keeper of Secrets. Got in 1 charge, did some good damage, almost finished off the Land Raider, but didn't finish it off. Then died immediately to a bunch of Khorne Berserkers. So, just the worst overall performance. There were some others that didn't perform as good, but they performed better than that. She only killed like 5 guys, and that was it. Probably the MVP for my team is strategically the Transweavers. I don't have the proper model here, but the Transweaver gave my Daemonettes always fight first. Honestly, if I had 3 Transweavers, which has got like being super tournament heavy, like having 2 of a character is fine, but like 3, that's obviously like power gaming. Would have gotten a lot more kills because of her, or these Transweavers. I was able to always strike first when my opponent charged me. I was always able to kill a good amount. When Karn and his squad of 10 Berserkers charged 1 unit, they successfully killed 5 of the Khorne Berserkers, greatly diminishing their strength. That was a big deal. I was able to use them and the Daemonettes to basically build screening walls where if my opponent charged them, huge chunks of them would die. And if I didn't take the what was that? The Infernal Enraptress instead, because I was going to use her to like regenerate. She regenerates Daemonette bodies, so I thought that'd be useful. But instead, if I took a third Transweaver, I probably would have killed off a good chunk of the Red Khorne squad first, and then the second time they charged another always fight first, I would have wiped out a good portion, and probably that green squad would have survived. So basically, these guys for the Daemonettes are my MVP for like how strategically useful they were. Really good for screening. They did a lot of damage, surprisingly. Daemonettes, 30 attacks that have devastating wounds. Really good at getting an average of 6 or 7 mortal wounds from a full squad. Well, that was me. What about you?
Well, my LVP is hands down the Land Raider. All it did was survive 1 round of attacks, and then it literally did not a single wound after that until it died, when it did 6 mortal wounds to Shalaxi. She only needed 2 to die, but but he literally every single shot failed the entire game. 4 whole rounds and he failed. I literally could have gotten exactly 3 rhinos for the cost of this Land Raider, and I would have done more with those than. But anyway, so LVP 100% Land Raider. MVP, I'm not actually sure. So I have kind of 2 tiers here, and it's basically all the characters. All the characters really did some work. Karn probably the least, but I mean he did clear out 2 or 3 whole squads, like his group. It was like Demonettes and stuff, but the Demon Prince has a bubble 6-inch 4-up invuln, which is really, really helpful. So he was able to give a lot of survivability to the 8-bound and Exalted 8-bound. And he actually did a decent bit of damage himself. He wiped out a Demonette squad. He killed most of the Seekers that were there in one go. But really, I think the top 2 was probably the Master of Executions with the Berserker Glaive and the Lord on Juggernaut. So Lord on Juggernaut did mortal wounds on the charge, but he also just did a lot of damage. Like he did, what was it, 1 round, he did 8 damage to Shalaxi, and I think he did the majority of the damage the first round as well. Yeah. He also gives reroll advance and charge rolls and blood surge, but he wasn't with Khorne Berserkers. But so I think the Master of Executions probably did the most damage hands down. The Berserker Glaive, the one time I got to use it, added 2 damage to each of his attacks. So each attack of his was 4 damage. He had 8 attacks, and that's what killed the Keeper of Secrets. Like he basically just kneecapped her, and then the rest of his squad just beat up the last 3 wounds that she had. And so probably the Master of Executions. He's pretty cheap too. He's 85 points, I think.
Yeah. Giving it always strike first to the squad was a big deal.
Yeah. Now he can only be with Khorne Berserkers. Same with Karn, but still. So I think Master of Executions 100% MVP. Short, like close behind was the Lord on Juggernaut. I can't remember what. Oh, he just gave advance and charge, but he did a lot of damage himself. So not so much a buff guy, but he did a lot of damage. And then Karn did a lot of damage, but anyway, yeah. So I would say Master of Executions MVP.
Alrighty then. So, as far as the game goes, the army, Slaanesh, finally trying out Shalaxi Hellbane. She did not seem as tough as I thought she would be, but she was a very powerful character killer. Like, re-rolling hit, wound, and damage rolls was a big deal. Guaranteed the deaths of everything she swung against. Apart from that, Slaanesh hits surprisingly pretty hard. Their mobility is very useful. Their durability is not, but then again, their durability is fine if I have always strike first. So I'm just legitimately surprised at how the good amount of utility that they have. Also, they have a ridiculous number of units, so many different chariots and things like that. So Yeah, so anyway, as far as Slaanesh goes, it's a pretty interesting army, highly mobile, and has some pretty tough characters. Yeah, yeah. What about you? What do you think of the World Eaters in 10th so far?
I enjoyed them. I think, other than the Land Raider and its shooting, which was just so sad because it had so much potential for damage, but the rolls were just not there. I think every unit honestly pulled its weight. The only one that might have come close might have been the blue 8-bound, but that's because only one guy survived to do it, and your whole army has invuln saves. So I think that was problematic there. But every unit pulled their weight. Honestly, they did a lot of damage. The only thing I probably could have played a little differently was the cultists, whatever they called, the jackals.
Yeah, engage on all fronts was once again your Achilles heel.
Yeah. I mean, they could have done some stuff. But so I literally just had them, like, they do sticky objectives, but I just had them in the corners for engage after they grabbed the first one.
Yeah.
So I could probably have done more with them. But I really liked the army. The buffs that the character, like Master of Executions, with always strike first, and he's a generic character, so you could probably take a couple of them. Karn has a lot of attacks. I liked the Corn rolls. It was because the lethal hits and sustained hits was a huge deal. It was constantly securing 2 or 3 wounds and adding 2 or 3 wounds at least every round of combat, which was pretty great. And then the Corn Berserkers, they hit like a ton of bricks. The 8-bound, they had a lot of swings, and they did a good number on Shalaxi. Now the regular 8-bound, they didn't get much of a chance, but so I like the army. They hit pretty hard. The Demon Prince with a bubble 4-up invuln is pretty cool. So yeah, I don't know. I think they're pretty cool.
Yeah.
They hit really hard. They're not super quick, but you can transport most of them. I could have put the Exalted in the Land Raider if I wanted to. So stuff like that. So yeah. I think they were great. I had fun playing them.
Yeah, since 10th edition has really nerfed melee, these guys surprisingly feel like they're still from 9th. It's like how obscene it is. Like, there's straight up damage. Like, I didn't expect an entire Keeper of Secrets to die just in melee so fast, but I wonder if a Great Unclean one would have survived. But
well, the Master of Executions is like their champion guy, so he was anti-character, so he rerolled all the hits, all the wounds. Plus he had that glaive, so each one that went through was 4 damage. So and then he had like an extra 3 attacks from that, so
well, anyway, as far as the game goes, the mission was pretty straightforward and simple. My chariots did good work by holding the back objective. They're cheap 75 points. Being incredibly mobile, able to switch things up on the fly. The mask was not used as well. I probably should have put her more towards the front, would have gotten me some more points. Probably thrown her into the fight more, but then again, she died very easily.
She only had 4 wounds.
Yeah, so not much there. But overall, as far as I feel the game, it was pretty good. I was surprised. I thought I was going to steamroll you, and that did not happen.
No. You won by points, but I definitely got a... Oh, no, you had 1 chariot left. But...
Yeah, I had 1 chariot. You had 3. You had the Master of Executions, and you had your 2 squads of Dishonored Chainblades. Everyone was dead. Everyone just died.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. And if it wasn't for your always fight first, for this guy, like that was a big deal. It saved your neck. That squad would have been wiped if I got all my fiends and my chariot got to swing first on those events. But yeah,
it was nice.
Yeah, it was a good game. All right, so that's it for now. We have no idea what we're gonna do next week, but we'll see what happens.